Which veteran do you think should be looking in his rearview mirror the most? Who is most threatened by player X having a good training camp means now I'm on the depth chart rather than at the top of it? Give me your number one, though. Who's sitting in pole position of watch your rearview mirror? Because I think it's Spencer Burford.
Spencer Burford doesn't even have a starting job. Spencer Burford today is not a starter. If you go to Our Lads and you look at the Niner current depth chart, that's probably the best depth chart in the media right now is the Our Lads. They've got Feliciano as the starter at right guard. They have Spencer as the backup at left guard behind Banks, and they have Pooney as the backup to Feliciano. I would probably say, even though Feliciano for Pooney for sure has to be considered, for me, I would say it's Juszczyk and Guerrero. I know there's a lot of people going, Guerrero doesn't even play fullback, and he may not. But you got to remember this. You only keep a certain number, especially with this wide receiver position. You're going to keep for sure 5, right? For sure. And maybe 6 wide receivers. And if you keep 6 wide receivers, there's a very good chance you can only keep 5 running backs. So you've got Christian, and then Juice. Then you got Mitchell, Guerrero, Patrick Taylor, Jordan Mason, Cody Schrader. And I think Cody Schrader's real. Juszczyk's 33. He's 33. I'd much rather waive Juszczyk a year too early than lose Guerrero or Cody Schrader to waivers.
I think if there's a numbers game, I think if there's a numbers game in the roster, that's a possibility. But Kyle Juszczyk he's already redone his deal. He's so far and away a trusted agent. To borrow from Jim Harbaugh there.
He is.
This is a guy that Kyle Shanahan loves. I think this is a guy who was wearing a tuxedo at Christian McCaffrey's wedding, right? I mean, I think he was part of the wedding party, for goodness sakes.
He's a leader on the team.
I don't think he has much
he's also 33.
to worry about from a numbers game. He's back for one more year. This is his last year, I think, in a 49ers uniform. If I'm Kyle Juszczyk, this is my last year in the NFL.
He's a guy who touches the ball. He's a fullback.
He touches the fullback more than any other fullback. He probably
how many touches do you think he had I'll tell you how many games he played. He played 17 games. In 17 games, how many touches? Would you guess?
I'm going to say he had 18 touches.
Very close. See, he had 14 receptions and 5 carries. He had 19. You were off by 1. 19.
This team
19 touches. That's not a lot of touching the football for a guy who makes the kind of money he makes. He's been overpaid for years. And now they've got a guy in Guerrero who's his same size, basically.
Here's the thing.
But just way faster.
Awesome that he is a weapon. Faster. I think he's a weapon that should be used more. I think that he could be a solution if you're having problems at TE2. You need a second tight end. He can basically do that as well. He's not being paid to touch the ball. It's really not what he does. That's just the sprinkles on top of what he does. He picks up blitzes and he opens up holes. That's what he does.
I can't. They didn't use him as a lead blocker nearly as much as most people think.
No, they really don't. They don't run a lot of eye. They don't run a lot of power.
I just think that if I have to lose Schrader or Guerrero or Juszczyk, I'm losing Juszczyk. I'm not losing it. Now we'll see what Schrader and Guerrero look like this summer. But based on if those guys can play, and I think they can, I'd rather go with the youth. So to me, if Guerrero gets looks explosive and gets some run at fullback, especially last year they brought in Jack Coletto, and he really wasn't an NFL athlete, but he was incredibly smart. This year they bring in Guerrero, who is a crazy NFL athlete. And Juszczyk's got, as you said, maybe a year left. So that's the guy that I think ought to be looking over his shoulder. Why? Because I can't imagine. I think Schrader's going to be good. And I can't imagine the Niners cutting their Guerrero or their 4th round running back who they traded up for. I just can't imagine it. So, and I can't imagine them going with 6 backs or 7 backs. It just doesn't seem like there's enough spots on the roster. So
it sounds a little funny coming out of my mouth before I even say it.
I'll say Juszczyk.
But given the way that the 49ers believe that they can create running backs either, off the street or back of their own roster, maybe the running back cut is Elijah Mitchell, where they just look at him and they go, you know what, we really like you and you do fit and you are productive, but you're not old as an NFL player, but you're older than a rookie. And we think the rookie can do what you do, and you got a history of injury and the rookie doesn't. So maybe you're the tough cut, Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah. Or maybe there's an injury. I mean, Mitchell's a favorite of Shanahan's because he has no negative runs and he never fumbles. But if you said based on what I've seen, if I was betting on
Elijah
this,
Mitchell too, man, I really like Elijah Mitchell. I would not want to see him go, but just thinking of how the Niners view and value and discover their own running backs, it feels like they've got a couple of discoveries waiting on their own team that they might want to hold on to more than they want to hold on to the unknown of these guys is more valuable to them than the known of Elijah Mitchell. And Elijah Mitchell is someone that, if you told the NFL, hey, come get Elijah Mitchell right now, he's up for trade, I guarantee you're looking at a 6th, 7th rounder for that guy. Maybe a 5th rounder?
I think even more. I mean, Dallas could badly use him. I mean, there's a few teams around. But, here's the one thing. Shanahan is the guy who makes this call. Shanahan has consistently put Mitchell over Mason.
Yep.
So even though we like Mason, even though Mason's intriguing to the fans, I would say if you made me wager on it right now, I'd probably go they keep 5, and the 5 are CMC, Juszczyk, Mitchell, Garendo, and Schrader, with Patrick Taylor and Jordan Mason getting cut or traded. But I wouldn't do that because Jordan Mason to me looks like a monster. But obviously Shanahan doesn't share that belief, or at least sees more great things in Mitchell than Mason.
Well, look, I think he should be your second running back. I really do. But if Cody Schrader and Garendo are just superstars in training camp and in the preseason, there's a tough decision there, maybe. Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.